Welcome to Jets Rewind. This is Marty Shupak, and I'm in Valley Cottage, New York. And joining us is our regulars, Ralph Schrager from Massachusetts and Ray Clifford from Ohio. We're getting blanketed with snow as we speak. It's 5 o'clock on Thursday. How you guys doing?
Good.
Doing great.
Okay.
Little snow up here, but it'll get heavier.
It's snowing here too, a little bit.
Yeah, it's one of those winters.
My girlfriend's in Florida. It's the only warm place in the country.
That's true, including Texas.
We're warmer than Texas here.
Yeah, we have
I'm going to visit Ted Cruz in Cancun, by the way.
Yeah. I just, by the way, a few hours ago, as we all know, Carson Wentz was traded to the Indianapolis Colts. We're going to get right into that. But Ralph, let's do your trivia question because we have a lot going on today. So,
all right. Well, this year we're celebrating the third time in Jet history that they had the second pick in the draft. The last time was in 1990. We got, the great, you know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
Who was it?
Running back.
The Blur Thomas.
Blair Thomas. Oh boy.
Anyway, in that first round, there were three players they passed on who were in the Hall of Fame now. Can you name them?
Three players.
I know one of them.
I know one of them too. That's obvious. All right, we'll come back to that. Maybe I could sneak on the internet while Ralph is
all right.
One of his jokes.
Well, if you get it right, Marty, that's a tell. So
all right.
Sorry.
Anyway, we're going to get right into it. No real house cleaning to do. Just a couple of minor things. The NFL established the salary cap will go up from 175 million to 180 million, and apparently that's because the agreement with the NFL Players Association said that it could not go below 175. The other thing just happened a few hours ago. Minor thing: Falcons put quarterback Kurt Beckert on waivers. He was a backup. And the only reason why I mention it, guys, is because the Jets do have a coach on their staff from the Atlanta Falcons, so you never know what might happen. But let's get right into it. A few hours ago, Carson Wentz was traded to the Indianapolis Colts, and from what I gather, it's a third-round pick in 21 and a second-round pick in 22, which, from what I read, could revert to a first-round pick. And Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network said the pick will become a first rounder if Wentz plays 75% of the snaps or 70% of the snaps and the team makes the playoffs. So first I want both of you's reaction, and then we're going to try to figure out how does that affect Sam Darnold and his value. So, Ralph, why don't you start off? Because I know I was talking to you before. You're like a bull in a ring, ready to go. So go ahead, Ralph.
I'm very pleased with that. Even if they don't get the first round pick, after, if we can get a second and a third for Darnold after those two picks against New England, I'd be really happy. Now, when you're comparing
what two picks against New England? I'm not following.
The two interceptions at the end of the season.
Oh, two picks.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
If you compare Darnold to Wentz as far as desirability goes, Darnold obviously is cheaper. That Wentz contract is huge, and I don't think a lot of teams really wanted to take that on. Another advantage for Darnold is Darnold's 23. You know how old Wentz is?
I'm guessing 28.
He's 28 years old. That's a big difference. That happened fast. I guess he probably was like a fifth-year senior or something. And Wentz has had some big injuries. So, and I think if Wentz was going to go somewhere, Indianapolis was the obvious place because of his connection with Reich. Reich got the best out of him. So I think it makes sense. And I think, Marty, you just sent me an article that Samini said that the Jet fans should be concerned because he doesn't think that's such a great trade. I think, if that flips into a 1, which I see no reason why it shouldn't unless he gets hurt. He's their guy, obviously. That's a heck of a trade, a first and a third. What do you think, Ray?
First and third you mean for the Wentz?
Yeah.
I think my first thought when I saw the conditions that made it a 1, I thought, well, they got a third and a first. I think they'll make the playoffs. Like you say, I think he'll probably get 75% of the snaps too, but after the way he played last year, I don't know. And I'm assuming he's going to stay healthy. The one thing I say going in our favor is, Marty, we talked about it a little earlier. I thought Wentz absolutely sucked last year. And as bad as Sam was, I think Sam, played far and away better than Wentz last year. I mean, overall, Wentz's first year was outstanding up until he got injured. But since then, he's been very, to me, mediocre. But like you said, Reich got the best out of him. And I think if anybody can, he will get something out of him again. And I think he'll get him to the playoffs at the very least. So I thought it was a big positive for the Jets. And if they were to trade him, I'm leaning more towards I don't believe they will, but if they trade him, I think that was definitely a positive.
Yeah, and I'm going to touch on that in a second. And just somebody named Field Yates of ESPN outlined what's left on Wentz's contract. 2021, there's a $10 million roster bonus, $15.4 million guaranteed. 2022, there's a $15 million guaranteed, $22 million salary. There's a roster bonus. And I guess in 23 and 24, it goes down to not being guaranteed. The salary is $20 million in 23 and 24, $21 million. And there's roster bonuses of $5 million each. Unless he leads them to the Super Bowl, I don't think he's going to see 2023. That's my theory with that money. Okay, I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, restructure.
Well, unless he returns to his form in his second year.
Yeah.
Ralph, I was talking to Ray yesterday, and I think that to undo Carson Wentz is going to take a lot more than to undo Sam Darnold. That's the way I'm looking at it. What's your feeling?
I would agree. I would agree with you, except for the Frank Reich factor. I think Frank Reich obviously is a good quarterback coach. Period. And I think if anyone can help a guy, he can. But yeah, if everything else is equal, then I would say he'd be more difficult reclamation project than Darnold.
Yeah. Okay. And as far as Sam Darnold, and I'm kind of leaning towards Ray. And as you know, Ralph, I'm like kind of the ultimate front runner where I'll change every other day, which, we're entitled to do.
Maybe
but
another play.
I'm sorry?
During a game, it might be every other play.
Every other play. Yeah, I do that too. No doubt about it. But anyway, as far as Sam Darnold, we know the Rams are out of the picture. I think Detroit's out of the picture because they have Goff, and I heard they might want to trade out. They're not going to draft another quarterback. We had spoken about that, and I had heard they want to trade back and maybe get a wide receiver. Then I heard that Atlanta, who I thought might have traded up to the Jets spot, they might want to trade back. Now I'm hearing talk that Carolina might trade up. I guess they're drafting 8. Do I have that number right?
Yep.
Yeah. So if they do that, there's going to be a lot more draft picks involved. So I just want both of you guys' feelings about if they do move back to 8. And I know Ralph is Zach Wilson's agent, so he's not going to like that. But give me an idea of what you feel if they move back from 2 to 8. Ray, you start. I'm assuming they're going to get 2 number 1s and a couple of number 2s.
Right. Well, I'm assuming also with that means they've committed to Sam, so I'm fine with it. If they aren't committed to Sam, I don't see any reason of trading out of that when you're in the the driver's seat of who you want, you get, and so, but assuming they are committed to sticking with Sam, then yeah, I think we get a lot for just moving down 6 picks, and there's all kinds of good talent that's going to be there to fill a lot of holes. So I'm on board with that all the way. That would be ideal in my mind if they're going to stick with Sam.
Ralph, what's your thoughts?
If they're going to stick with Sam, absolutely trade down. I don't think they're going to stick with Sam. Maybe we're going to do our updated percentages right now, Marty.
We're going to do that right now.
All right, we're going to give our percentages on. I think there's a 70% chance that they're going to draft a quarterback. About 15 Darnold stays and about 15 Watson. Maybe 20 Darnold, 10 Watson at this point.
But say that again, just
70% chance they're going to draft a quarterback at the number 2 spot. Maybe 20% they keep Darnold, 10% Watson.
okay. Ray, do you notice how fast Ralph got out of that question, moving back to number 8? He just
Well, I mean, when I hear them say stuff like, teams are calling the Jets and Joe Douglas is saying, get back to us real soon, because they're probably still studying film of these guys in college. My vibe is that they're going to move on from Darnold, because it's just, I mean, if I look at the film of Fields and Wilson, I see 2 guys who are at least as talented and probably more talented than Darnold, and they're on the cheap. To me, it's a no-brainer at this point, especially since the return is looking pretty good for Darnold type situation. Anyway, that's my percentage. Let's hear yours now, Mr. Bill Nye, the science guy.
Okay. I'm going to yield to Ray, because I just want to change something. Ray, you give the percentages. We're doing keeping Darnold, trading for Watson, or drafting a QB.
Mine hasn't changed much from the last time, because I do agree that he's definitely fielding calls, and I think no matter how they feel about Sam, if the right offer comes in, I think they're taking it. That being said, I think it's 60% they keep Sam, 35% they draft one, and I'm down to 5% on Watson. I just can't believe they'll give up the farm to get Watson when they have so many holes to fill.
Wait, just repeat the numbers again. I was just writing something. My numbers now. Go ahead.
60, 35, and 5. Watson being the 5.
You can't give the same numbers, Marty.
I'm not. No, this is. It shows you, Ralph. You have a big influence on me, but I'm doing this. I'm going to say 10% trading for Watson. And I'm going to say Darnold and drafting a quarterback. It's even 45% each.
Ooh.
Oh, that is really lame.
Well, last week I did a third.
I know, Marty likes to keep things even Steven.
Right. If I wake up tomorrow morning, we do a show, it'll be completely different.
Talk about not taking a chance.
I'll tell you what, let's do it at the end of the show and see how it's changed from now.
We could do that. But did we answer the question, though, that does the Wentz trade increase the value of Sam Darnold in the trade, or it has nothing to do with it?
I don't think it increases or decreases the value, because Wentz had to go somewhere. So that's one less possibility. I still think it's about the same as it was.
Okay, Ray?
I think it went up a little bit, because I think, like I said, I thought Wentz was absolutely horrific last year. As much as we talk about Sam's issues, he was far better than Wentz last year. If he can revert, I like Wentz a lot, but I it's hard to say if this is a permanent issue with him. It seems like a mental thing, so maybe he can revert. But I think it helped Joe in his negotiations if he wants to trade him.
I mean, who are the teams out there now that you think would be interested in Darnold? I think maybe San Francisco,
San Fran, Chicago,
Pittsburgh.
Maybe Pittsburgh, Chicago, maybe even the Saints, even though they're going to go with.
How about Carolina? You think Carolina might, because if Carolina can't move up, they might not get the quarterback that they want.
Yeah,
I think what you said, and okay, I just so you know, I think the Saints are a very good possibility, and I'm telling you why. They are in cap hell right now. All right, completely. And
Well,
go ahead, Ray.
Breeze just redid his contract, so he's only $1 million against the cap now. So that freed up quite a bit. And they signed that Taysom Hill, which I don't know why, for some big extension. So that's kind of an odd thing. I don't know. I think it would be a great spot for him, but I don't know if they would do it.
I still think they're over from what I heard. Pretty much over. They have a lot of work to do.
That could be.
And I think with Sam still under the rookie contract, I don't know how that would work though. If they traded him before that May deadline, if they would pick up that option, I'm not quite sure how that works in a trade. But I think that the Saints are moving up the chart. So that might be, like you said, Ray, a good landing spot. It might make sense for both teams. Very quickly. Okay, well, one thing I want to mention, Ray, that Ralph said to me, I think Ralph's 100% right. I think no matter who has that second pick, it's going to be Zach Wilson. I really
I'm starting to believe that. That's everything I'm seeing. Did you happen to see an article or a thing about June Jones, the former quarterback and coach, who's like a quarterback coach, but he was a head coach in the NFL. He was a quarterback in the NFL too.
Right. Yeah.
He thinks that Zach Wilson's the best pick, even though he's sure Trevor Lawrence will go first.
Joe Theismann said the same thing the other day. Yeah.
But he said the best quarterback of the group was my favorite, Mac Jones.
He did.
But he thinks that, and he said, I wouldn't take Lawrence. He goes, he might not even be his second pick. He liked Zach Wilson the best, and I think he was leaning towards Justin Fields. Although he
that's a good way to get your name in the paper. That's for sure. When you say stuff
well,
like that,
it's funny, guys. I don't want them to draft Mac Jones, but it's one of those things. Is I'm afraid that he might be very successful. I can't explain.
Tell me where he goes.
For a guy like that, it's all about where he goes. If he were to land in Pittsburgh or New Orleans,
I think
that'd be nice.
How about New England?
Well, they talk about that a little here. I don't know. I think New England's deteriorated. They have a lot of rebuilding to do. They're not a good team. It's not just that Brady left.
No.
I'm not agreeing with you 100%, Ralph. The only reason is because I think they had the most opt-outs because of the COVID. And I think they're going to have like 7 players come back. But obviously the quarterback's the big one.
I think wherever he goes has to have a really good offensive line. He's not a guy who's going to be good at running for his life. So if they can protect him, I think he'll be successful. That's a big deal.
Quick aside here. I watched an interview about a month ago that was done about a month and a half ago before the Jets got Saleh as their coach. It was an interview with Zach Wilson. It was a local, someone in Utah, and they asked him where he think would be a good fit for him in the pros. And he said he really thinks San Francisco would be because Shanahan's offense is similar to the one they run at BYU. So that's just,
right.
There you go.
We're going to have the same offense.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, look, before we go on, I just want to do one little quick trivia. And we have a listener. He's out in LA. I hope I know the last name. I'm going to do a few shout outs later, but this guy is Tom Taview, I think. And I don't know if that's his last name or just his email, but he's a Jet fanatic. His father used to have season tickets, and then he ended up moving to LA. And we've been corresponding, and the guy's a terrific Jet fan. But we were corresponding. He came up with something that I'm going to turn into a trivia question. I wanted to give him the credit. I know Ralph's going to say, Ray, to us, he has to think about this. You get it. In the old AFL, there was one team, 1 year, that had 3 receivers to average over 20 yards per reception. Who were the 3 receivers? What was the team?
Oh, shoot.
It's at least, and they had to have at least 20 receptions or more.
Wow.
Okay. And it's an amazing question. Tom brought this out to me, and it's something that, Ralph, we would have known years ago too.
I feel like it was really early. I'm going to say the Houston Oilers.
That's a good guess, but it's not right. Ray?
San Diego.
Nope, it's another good guess. There might be one
The
more.
Raiders.
No,
Oh,
no,
they didn't have Daryl Monica then. No,
no. If you think about it, there's one or two other
The
teams.
Jets.
No, Ralph.
Denver Broncos.
No, okay, I'll give it to you. I don't want to spend too much time.
We
But-
we only got two more teams to go.
I know. The Detroit Red Wings, right? The 1964 Buffalo
Buffalo
Bills.
Yeah.
With
Albert Dubinion.
The Benwin,
Albert Dubinian, who was a
Dubinian.
terrific football player.
42 receptions. He 1,139 yards, 27.1 yards per catch.
Yeah, his nickname was Golden Wheels.
Glenn Bass, 43
Right.
receptions, 897 yards, 20.9 yards per catch. Ernie Warlick, 23 receptions, 478 yards, 20.8 yards per catch. That's amazing. It really is.
Was that before Kemp or was that with Kemp?
I
64 is Jackie Kemp, yeah.
Jackie Kemp. And what's unbelievable, guys, is that year the team average per reception was 19.7.
Leslie Walker would have been the low man on the totem pole there.
Yeah, so I want to thank Tom from LA. And by the way, Tom's a big Wesley Walker fan, and that was just terrific. I appreciate that. Now, this week, our good friend Rich Samini, who I really like a lot, came out with an article, and the essence of the article was that he didn't think Jamison Crowder was worth keeping according to the cap figures. And I kind of wrote a rebuttal article. I kind of disagreed with him. I think it's something like $10 or $11 million that the Jets would be on the hook for. So I just want to know your reaction about that, about whether they should keep Jamison Crowder.
Well, I mean, obviously the Jets have very few good players, and he's one of their best. So instinctively, you say, sure, keep him. Now, if they free up that money, maybe Joe Douglas sees someone in free agency who he likes better at that position, or or LaFleur and Saleh, whatever. So I guess it's an option, though. I think if they do drop him, they obviously have to get someone in free agency, or maybe they draft Rondell Moore or so what's the kid from Florida?
Yeah. But Ralph, the only thing is, there's one more year left in his contract, so I don't see them keeping him after that. He's 29.
Right.
So I would like to keep him and draft another slot receiver. Ray, what's your thoughts?
If I had a say in the matter, I'd keep him. I don't, all I know is what I see. I mean, I didn't know what his stats necessarily were, but and again, it might come down to, do they keep Sam? If they don't keep Sam, he had a lot of good chemistry with Sam. I don't know that would carry over, but he was our most consistent guy, I thought, when he was on the field. So to me, I'd keep him. I don't think another, we're got the second most cap space. So,
I think third most.
Third most. Okay.
Yeah.
But either way, I don't think there's anybody that out there that we're going to go out. If we drop, we can get that guy. Maybe there is. I don't know what he's got in mind, but I don't know that it would really change our free agent, our plans and free agency, whether we kept him or not. But
well, maybe he wants to flip him for a younger slot guy who's in free agency.
Yeah.
The possibility. I kind of, I really like that guy, though. I'm hoping they could keep him. A couple of shout outs, and we're going to get right into the our draft 2.0, our mock draft. A shout out to Tommy Murray, a transplanted New Yorker who's down in South Carolina. Big Jet fan. I know his nephew Tyrell from Spring Valley, so I just want to do that for Tommy. Damon Roth, he works at Landing Point in New York. Another big Jet fan. He's told somebody I know that the highlight of his week is listening to Ralph, Ray, and Marty in that order. So Damon Roth, please keep listening and let all you people know. And another guy in South Jersey, Al Falabella, he works at All County Roofing. Big Jet fan. His brother had season tickets for years. Huge Jet fan. I want to thank those guys for listening, and I appreciate it. And Go to the website. We enjoy doing this. We want to keep doing this. Very quickly before the mock draft. Okay, here's another quick trivia for you guys. This is Black History Month, February. Who was the first Afro-American player to be the #1 pick of the draft in both the NFL and AFL?
Ernie Davis. I don't know.
No.
O.J. Simpson.
I'll give you a hint. It's an AFL player.
Well, that's right. O.J. was NFL only.
I got to think about this. I said, so he played in the AFL. You're saying?
Yeah.
Not in the NFL. Okay.
Another hint. He either played for the Oakland Raiders or Kansas City Chiefs.
Mike, the running back, Mike out of USC.
Bobby Bell.
No, those are two good guesses. Buck Buchanan.
Oh, I was close. I was about 2 feet away.
That was
You had the right team.
Unbelievable player. So that's
that team, their defense when they won the Super Bowl, they had as much talent as any defense I've ever seen.
It was an incredible team.
Yeah.
Front to back. It was unbelievable.
Still should have beat them.
Yeah. So that's our contribution to Black History Month. All right, Ralph, why don't you describe the rules? Because up until 20 minutes, Ray, before airtime, I didn't understand how we're doing it. So I wanted to make sure we're doing it right.
I have confidence that Ray got it, but
Ray's not smarter than me.
Anyway, our last draft, we had assumed that Darnold was staying, and in this one, we're going to base it on Darnold being traded. So the Jets will still have the #2 pick. Darnold, my hypothetical, is traded to Carolina for their 2nd-round pick, which is number 39. I chose that because that was Marty's number when he played football.
Ralph, I'm very impressed.
So we will now draft for the Jets the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd rounds. And
3rd rounds? I only have the first 2.
All right, you can just do the first 2 rounds. I mean, I threw in some 3rd round stuff anyway.
We'll turn it over to you after the first 2.
Yeah, I could only get through 39.
And if you want to, because we obviously, you never know what happens in the draft. When you pick your guy, you can say if that guy isn't there, there are a couple other guys I would have probably looked at or taken to make it interesting. Anyway, if you want me, well, the first pick is the #2 pick in the draft. I'm going to pick Zach Wilson, obviously, because I think he's better than Trevor Lawrence anyway.
Are we allowed to pick the same player?
Yeah, you are.
Go ahead, Ray.
So we are doing the #2. Oh,
yeah.
That's it. You understand? We're getting rid of Sam.
They were keeping Sam.
No, we're getting rid of him.
I thought you said we traded with
Carolina, so we got a 2nd-round pick for them. You understand?
We traded Sam Darnold to Carolina for the 2nd-round pick.
Oh, okay.
I told you, Ralph.
You guys don't read my emails, do you?
Yeah, I did. I was, for some reason in my mind, I thought we traded.
Right.
You just can't get it out of your mind.
You want me to
keep
go,
Darnold.
Ray?
No.
Go ahead.
I'm the same. I would have said Zach Wilson. I don't think there's any other choice to take than him.
Yeah. I'm going to make it a hat trick. I'm going to say Zach Wilson also.
So that's the first and last time we will ever all agree on something. I like that.
we all drank the Ralph Correga Kool-Aid.
Yeah, the pressure's on. Huh?
Okay. All right, the 23rd pick. Go ahead, Ralph.
So with the 23rd pick, your friend Tommy from South Carolina is going to be happy because I'm going to take J.C. Horn. I'm not sure he's going to be there. A lot of people have him going to the Cardinals at 16. If he's not there, there's some really nice edge rushers, and the guy I really have my eye on is Jalen Phillips from Miami, who I think is terrific, and I wouldn't mind him at all at that position.
Okay, that's a good pick. Ray, go ahead.
Second pick at this point, I had I'm taking Najee Harris, or if not him, then Bateman, the wide receiver.
Another good pick. Okay. I'm going to pick Ali Vera Tucker, an offensive lineman from USC. For some reason, he is moving up in the charts. And we're all big on offensive line. And he sounds like he's a pretty good player. If he wasn't there, again, I'm going to revert back to Wyatt Davis. I'm hoping he would be there too, but it's Ali Vera Tucker. Okay, Ralph. The
Okay, so
34th
the next is the Jets' second round pick, which is number 34. And I'm going to go with Terrence Marshall Jr. from LSU, who I really, yeah. And if he's not there, I'd take Bateman. Bateman, you know, one of the two will probably be there. So that's the deal.
All right. Ray?
I was looking at thinking that maybe Wyatt Davis might drop down to the early second. And so I was looking at Davis in the second. My backups, I wasn't sure. It would all depend on who they got with the 23rd pick, but I was thinking either Etienne or Rondale Moore at that point, if they got somebody that they prefer. Maybe maybe an edge rusher drops to them at 23, but if they haven't picked up a receiver or a running back at 23, I look at them grabbing one at 34.
Wait, Rondale Moore, what number?
34.
Let me just say,
although Wyatt Davis would be my
right.
first choice.
A quick question on that 34th Rondale Moore. Would you still pick him if they kept Jamison Crowder at 34?
I don't think they'd take him if they kept Crowder, but so.
What would you do? You're Joe Douglas.
If we traded Sam, I'd probably get rid of Crowder and I'd draft Moore.
You see, I think, I don't know how Ralph feels. I think Rondale Moore, I think it's worth taking him, even if Crowder's going to be there one more year.
Yeah.
Rondale Moore, I mean, to me, he's like a Tariq Hill. He returns punts. I don't think there's anything wrong with taking some snaps away.
Oh, it'd be fine. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm trying to think of early on guys who might play a lot and fill in spots, but I would have no problem with them taking them no matter what.
Ralph, what's your feeling if they keep Jamison Crowder? Would you take Rondale Moore 34?
No, I wouldn't. I'm not crazy about taking a slot guy that high up. I know Moore can do a lot of things. I don't see him quite as Tariq Hill. I think he is definitely a slot guy, whereas I think Tariq Hill, sits up on the outside, and I think he's more of a deep threat than Rondale Moore.
Okay.
I just didn't think he'd be there later in the round, or I would have moved him back to that second.
Right.
But
I actually had, for the 34th pick, I don't know if I'm allowed to keep him, I had J.C. Horn. I thought he might be available then, the cornerback. But
that would be amazing. At this point, if he is, I'd take him, but I don't even know if he'll be there for the 23.
It's funny, Ray, I kind of like when we did our first mock draft, I really like what Ralph did when he took Surtain, even though it was a reach. I like that because this draft is loaded with a receiver and offensive lineman. So take another position and you're pushing everyone else down the line in a way too. And you could pick up a guy like, those positions later on. I really like that idea, Ralph. And Ralph, let me just add one other thing. And you too, Ray. I thought maybe if they trade down to 8, what do you think about picking up this tight end from Florida? Pitts.
Yeah, he's a hybrid. He's not really a tight end. He's sort of he's a player. I mean, at 8, there are just so many good players. I think I'd still want to fill that cornerback position. I mean, that's such a hole, and boy, they're tough to. You can't pick those guys up.
Surtain, I was reading the scouting reports. He's like the real deal all the way around. And the other one is Caleb Farley.
Yeah,
he's supposed to be like glue as far as a cover guy, but he's not as good tackling and playing the run. And part of the reason, and as you said last week, Ralph, he opted out. He's a converted wide receiver, so he might have a more upside than a Surtain.
I think he's moving up. I think he might get drafted before Surtain, and and after J.C. Horn, it slips a little. There are other ones, but boy, if we could land one of those 3 guys, And Bryce Hall would look really nice as a second corner.
Right.
You know,
You
you don't want him being your number one corner. That's too much to ask of him at this point.
All right, let's move on. Let's just do one more round, Ralph, the last pick, because we got to get right to your trivia question.
All right. Well, we still have to get our 39th pick.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I want him to get an interior offensive lineman, Wyatt Davis, Creed Humphrey. You know, the kid from Alabama, Landon Dickerson, is a fascinating guy. It's too bad he blew his knee out because he is a total animal.
But Ralph, I see, my feeling is this. If they trade Sam and they get a few more picks, or if they go down to the 8th pick and they get a couple of seconds, they have the luxury of taking a chance on a guy like that.
Yeah.
I would do it if I only had like 7 picks in the draft.
Well, if they get a second and a third, say for Darnold, I think then I'd take that chance too. That would be
yeah, I mean, that's a guy I would definitely take a chance in. So that's a good pick. Go ahead, Ray.
I was trying to find a different lineman. I don't know if he'd be there, and he's attack. It would mean probably getting rid of Fant, but Trey Smith, the lineman out of Tennessee, is a tackle.
Yeah, I was thinking about him too. He can go inside as well.
Yeah, and he's a good run blocker from what I understand. And if not, I was reading about a guy because I saw him on some of the draft boards who sounds interesting. He might be a good pickup as we go down. His name's Aaron Robinson. He's a cornerback out of UCF. He's got good size. He's like 6'1". I'm not sure what his speed is, but everything I read says he's a good open field tackler. He's a sure tackler. So I like that.
Just a quick aside. He and a teammate of his, safety, Richie Grant, are projected in the 2nd or 3rd round. That's UCF. That's the team that, what's his name? Zach Wilson torched in the bowl game.
That's right. My pick, and I'll do this quickly, is another tackle, Clemson, Jackson Carman, who's unbelievable on the run. He's pretty good in the pass. And Ray, this, you might want to know this. He was actually in high school. He was the #1 prospect in Ohio by ESPN and Rivals and 24/7. So there's a guy, he blocked for Trevor Lawrence, and he didn't do bad that game against Ohio State. He was one of the few linemen that's pretty good.
Jackson Carman. Yeah, he had a great game, actually.
He did have a really good game.
You know, I have him actually in the 3rd round, Marty. They have him all over the place. He's very talented, but they say maybe has some personality issues. But I'd like in the 3rd round for them to get another tackle.
Well, he looks good on the field, Ralph. All right, Ralph, let's go to the trivia question because the clock is our enemy. So repeat it quickly.
All right. The last #2 pick was Blair Thomas, and after he got picked, 3 Hall of Famers, eventual Hall of Famers, got the Jets passed on. Can you name the 3 Hall of Famers from that first round?
Ray and I know one of them. I know it's the same one. Go ahead, Ray. I'll let you spill it out.
Smith.
Yeah.
And Emmitt Smith. Yeah, you know, the funny thing is Emmitt Smith was probably pissed off because he should have been the 2nd pick. But if you ask him now, he'd say, thank God.
No. All right, who are the other 2? Because, Ray, do you have any idea?
I was going to say somebody on Buffalo.
They're both defensive players. One was the 3rd pick and one was the 5th pick.
On Buffalo?
No, who's got Seattle and San Diego.
Kennedy,
yeah, Cortez Kennedy. And the San Diego player?
Seau, no.
Linebacker, Junior Seau, yeah.
Seau, wow. That's a great question, of course, Ralph.
Painful, but, you know, that's a lot of Jet fans, right?
Painful is taking Kyle Brady instead of Warren Sapp.
I heard that all week, for the last 2 weeks, Ralph, from Ray. You know, all I heard was